Hi guys, so it is, what is it, like 8 o'clock, and my daughter is officially on the bus, so that's like a, relief. So what I was talking about earlier is, so last night I attended a friend's, I won't say it unless she wants me to, but it was a full moon ceremony, like virtually, and it was about releasing, what you need to release. And because I'm doing so much work every day and I'm learning so much and I continue to do so much work, I I do understand pretty much that emotions come up so that they can be released. The problem I was facing was I wasn't releasing them. So I thought of these like rusted bolts of like everything pushed so far down, and I'm finally starting to get these springs loose, like these rusted boots are rusted boots. That's a good analogy. That's a good visual. But these rusted bolts are like about to spring loose, and then it's almost like vomit. It's like it's ready to come up. It needs to come up. It's a good thing to come up and out, and it can't. So then I swallow it back down. So when I talked about having suppressing thoughts, that's because I had this epiphany. I think it was a couple months ago. I don't know, because again, time is not linear. But regardless, my new thing also is, am I depressed or am I suppressed? And what I mean by that is, if, and maybe they're the same, I don't know, but I don't want to go that far. But this morning, when I first woke up, I was like, ugh. And was it that I didn't want to get out of bed? No, it wasn't like that. It was just this weight of responsibility. It was, okay, I have one potential day to sort of refill my cup on some level before another 4-day weekend, type of thing. And, but the cool thing was, like I said, instead of just immediately being like, don't think that, I thought, you know what? I'm safe to hear the thought as long as I don't have it take over and dictate my action. So, um, so at first I was like, oh, I feel suppressed. I feel like that compressed spring. And that's what happened last night during the full moon ceremony. Is I almost did not write down. We had one part where we were writing, and I almost didn't write down how I was actually feeling, because I knew just from, because also yesterday I had done like 3 or 4 meditations. So again, I'd done all this stuff, which is all good things when it can be then released. And while like taking care of my daughter and everything is the point. So, but I'm proud of myself because I did ultimately write down that a part of me is really angry. A part of me is really frustrated that it's like I don't get to exist. And here's the thing. It's not that then I express that anger towards people ever. But what I wasn't even allowing myself to do my entire life was even have an angry thought, because thoughts become things, okay? However, if you've been through trauma, if you've been through things that, if you're being honest, still affect you, you pushing them down, pushing them away, shaming them, ignoring them, only makes it worse. I can tell you from experience. So, I know by now, pretty much, that every time I get to release emotion, I feel better, I feel lighter, I feel clearer, I feel myself, right? So, anyway, I ended up releasing some tears, and everything in me wanted to scream, wanted to release. But I knew my daughter was right downstairs and that my night wasn't even over yet. And that's kind of the problem. But the great thing is, as a result of feeling the frustration, what was it? recognizing that part of me is feeling very frustrated, respecting that a part of me is feeling very frustrated, and then troubleshooting. So my current solution for that is every day I'm going to go out to the car and give my system space to feel probably as safe as I'm going to feel. So then if emotions do come up, they can actually come out. Does that make sense? So it's kind of like if you were talking, this just came to me, like you were talking to, let's say, a kid, and all their friends are at recess, and you're talking to the kid, and you're like, what's going on? Like, and especially if they're passing out like I am and stuff like that. And they start to realize that, like, something happened. And so the tears start to come, and all the kids from recess come back in. It's like, oh, never mind, shut it all back down, right? That will make you even sicker. You have to have a way to get it out, up and out. And for me, I never lash out, but then I pass out, right? So anyway, I just wanted to share that because it was, it's helping me see you have to meet yourself where you're at, not where you ultimately want to be. That's my opinion. Because there are some things, yes, mind over matter. There are most things mind over matter. And there are some things that until you address them in some way, they're still controlling you. And, since I'm doing everything raw, like I'm not self-medicating, I'm not medicating, and I'm also not only not taking out on my daughter, but I'm being the best self for her at all times, which I'm very proud of and grateful for. But that takes an enormous amount of everything, like emotional control, restraint, energy, concentration, focus, everything. So I realized that part was like 4 days where we can't speak whatsoever because, and so anyway, I just want to share this because I know what it's like to feel like there's nothing you can do. No one understands. They just tell you to be grateful. And I'm a very grateful person. That's not the problem. Or they tell you to get over it, and I will tell you from experience that if you have true, like, trauma, like if you have things that are, in your heart, you've tried the traditional whatever, then these are not things that are, like, these are really stored in your body, So, anyway, I love you guys, and I haven't, eaten anything, like I just, whatever, but I'm just also doing this for myself to show myself, hey, you felt a certain way when you first woke up, and within like probably 5-10 minutes of acknowledging it, though, not just 5-10 minutes passing, but being like, oh, okay, part of me is like, this isn't right. And instead of being like, no, it's fine, and you should be grateful, and blah 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 blah, it's like, yeah, you're right, I get you. It just gave me chills, because I'm actually starting to pay attention to the sensations. And for me, and this is a long one, that's fine, but for me in the past, I would not rest. I would not take any time for myself, be selfish, which isn't even a thing, you know what I mean? Unless I had the flu, and I basically would be so relieved when I got the flu because I could finally just be. And people could be screaming at me, and I didn't have the energy to be stressed about it, right? And so what I'm working really, really hard on is rewiring my system and letting them know that it doesn't have to get that loud for me to listen. So, for instance, today, I have all sorts of parts that want to do all sorts of different things, to be honest. And it's like, okay, but the facts are that she's going to be off the next 4 days. And we want to be, and we are, like a very present, loving mom and pour into her. So it's not a matter of, well, screw that, it's all about me. Not at all. But that's my point, right? Is how can I possibly do all of this on my own in a meaningful way that I enjoy? That takes a lot of figuring out. But every time that I acknowledge that that's what I want to do, it focuses my brain on solutions, right? Rather than running away from the problem, numbing the problem, ignoring the problem, getting like drowned by the problem, which I am starting to believe more and more that we only get drowned by the problem because it has to keep getting louder because we're ignoring the problem. So anyway, this is, as always, just from my heart. And I have done, 1 meditation, 3 tappings, the 5-4-3-2-1 with the sensory technique. I also listened to that song, I think it's called I Release Control. And it's like I'm gaining mastery of my parts. And I think a game changer for me has been when I realized that I can have an angry thought. Having an angry thought does not make me an angry or a bad person. It's to hear, like I'm starting to think of it also like I was a teacher. And so it's like, you have a classroom inside of you, like all your parts. And they all deserve to be heard. They all are valid. But you're the teacher. So you ultimately make the executive functioning, executive decision, right? So there's a part of me that just wants to stay in bed all day. There's a part of me that wants to tackle my driving right now. There's a part of me that wants to, I don't even know. And I don't have to run from those parts. You can have a part of you that feels angry and still act lovingly towards someone. We don't have to be afraid of our feelings when we recognize them for what they are. We respect, what they have to tell us, and then we release them. So, love you guys.